Alright there, hello, welcome to our newest Roblox video. We'll be doing another one. And today, what you say about me is what you say about society. We'll be doing another quick one. We'll be going on to topics around VTubers as a whole. We got the streaming wars to deal with, but VTubers as a general has never been discussed with much more depth in my channel and been pretty vague about it. I don't think I've made any proper statements around VTuberism, and I probably have never put down enough data on where I'm getting my data from. So, my data and my experiences from VTubers are quite various, and if you're going to be here for a video and you're going to here to rattle to me about how wrong I am and are trying to defend this peanut guy that just won the VTuber awards, go on all about it, ramble, send me your hatred. But I'm going to be talking about VTubers as general, and I'm going to be talking about VTubers as a more defined general. We're going to need to find what VTubers are. We're going to put our barriers, right? Our barriers, and we're going to be putting differences aside. So, if you're not going to be serious, do not watch this video. This video is going to be serious. It's going to go down to some really deep things. And if I do go into deep things, then just make sure to know that this video is probably not going to be 10 minutes long. It's probably going to be very long. So what I want to get out of the way is that, first off, my name's Visuet Perez Nicholas. I've been at this for 8 years by now. 8 years, over 8 years. Technically, I've been making videos for almost my entire childhood, along with my adolescence, technically. But VTubers have been around since around 2016, earlier 2016, mid 2016, if you want to be like that. Reason I is the founding mother of VTuberism as a whole. VTuberism doesn't have to be a philosophy, but it could be a philosophy because of the very direction it's going to. But I'm going to be breaking it down one by one what it is. For example, we need to be putting aside what differentiates what a VTuber is. A VTuber is not somebody who's going around saying that they are not a VTuber. It's not somebody saying that they are a VTuber. That's not how a VTuber is defined. I will probably, and I will say it now, I probably disagree on what Iron Mouse thinks is a VTuber. I disagree what More Calabi thinks is a VTuber, and I disagree what certain VTubers are. Certain VTubers can be huge and they know what they are doing, but that doesn't mean they know how to define a VTuber. Because there are terms in the industry, in the creative industry, that I must first go down and explain why I talk about in such a way. When I describe a VTuber is not only just a virtual avatar that you wear, you know, when you're behind the screen and you see this virtual avatar moving ligaments and stuff like that. That is very vague. Let me explain what I mean by that. Disney has called this thing they have them called virtual puppets or living characters. Living characters and virtual puppets are not what VTubers are. Virtual puppets are puppets, that movements, things that you wear, that you move around with devices and motion capture and all this. Virtual puppets usually are not meant for the entertainment that VTubers do. So we're going to explain what this means. So VTubers, basically a VTuber happens to have a Japanese origin. VTubers literally came from Japanese origin. His I was Japanese. She started the movement and it was all Japanese people. Of course, we had our other great knights of the VTuber movement who were in the beginning when content was mostly videos and not shorts and not live streams back in the day. It was more like videos before we headed into this like more live stream friendly space of a YouTube sphere. VTubers started mainly on YouTube and on Bilibili. What I want to get out of the way is that virtual puppets, first off, have a person behind it that disclose that there's a person behind it. There's their name. You can see their face when they're not longer the puppet. Most puppets, by the way, don't even have a human remotely wearing motion capture too. There are devices in Disney where they try to make sure the puppets move by themselves. Their functions are randomized and their functions are programmed into them. When virtual puppets move around and talk, they're not always saying everything you think that they are. There are people, you should see this documentary. It's a great documentary on Defunctland. Defunctland makes a really great video on this with way better detail and in-depth than I would ever explain. But all I can say is a virtual puppet and a virtual VTuber. A virtual YouTuber, by the way, virtual YouTuber, not virtual VTuber, my mistake. Virtual YouTuber is a VTuber. That doesn't mean the same thing. Alright, let's explain that there's a lot more nuance to this. Japanese is in the VTuber thing. I'm sorry. If you are a cartoon character and you're putting an avatar and you're moving it around, you're making content, videos, maybe songs. I'm about to get into the stereotype, by the way. We're going to explain the stereotype around VTubers. VTubers are not all girls. They are sometimes they're all men, right? There are men VTubers. There are girl VTubers. There are non-binary VTubers. There are gay VTubers, lesbian VTubers. I can go on forever. These VTubers have their own identities. They can go off as a furry, they can go off as a leopard, they can go off as a literal building. Now, what I think is what I'm gonna get at, is that VTubers, you need to put more effort into describing into most, because Western people, Japanese people, Eastern people, they're people who won't understand what VTuber is. You have to more formally describe what a VTuber is. You have to actually specify and actually have standards in order to describe what a VTuber is. A VTuber is somebody who makes content online, like songs, music, dances, karaoke, talks to their audience, makes videos, makes shorts, consistently streaming, and using an avatar, are not under a brand image, but could also be possibly working for a brand. VTubers are not what Annoying Orange is. Annoying Orange was a character, was a puppet of a character. It was a character. It was not a VTuber. Annoying Orange, let me repeat, is not a VTuber. Annoying Orange was a character, was puppeted, and had a voice and face on it. That's not a VTuber. It had no movement. Annoying Orange was stop motion, and it was a very entirely different process behind Annoying Orange when it was made. Another thing, I hear people often mentioning 2011, where there was this one other VTuber who was around you think is a VTuber. That person was not officially going around as a VTuber. It was not making content compared to modern VTubers now. Even a person who was inside their home who drew their own VTuber avatar could have made more content than that person in 2011 that you all keep calling a VTuber. That is not a VTuber. You would call that a former VTuber or a person who is using a virtual avatar. A virtual avatar is not a VTuber. Somebody using a VR avatar or virtual avatar, how you want to say it, is a virtual reality. It's a virtual reality avatar. That's not a VTuber. A VTuber is very specified. They make content, they make shorts, it's on YouTube, Bilibili, or Twitch. They have an avatar with an identity, there's a name. They could use their real name. VTuber does not have to use their character name. It could just be on their own. They could use their own name. They could use their voice, or their fake voice, maybe a filter, but also they could use their real voice. VTubers have this expression. VTubers also most of the time don't show their faces. They could, but some would show their faces and do off collabs and say, let's do an off collab stream, right? And sometimes they would want to show their face, but with a mask on. VTubers usually are a lot more anonymous in this definition and carry a name in this manner. If you think I'm wrong, please explain it better than I can. Defunctland, which I said is a great video for where I'm getting this from. Defunctland explains virtual puppets, virtual avatars, what a living character, a non-living character, all these types of things about Disney and their legacy around the creative market. Disney is a huge giant. So we got people who are now. So you know why I'm talking about VTubers and like saying that VTubers are disspecified. It's because of what happened when Ray asked the most dumbest questions over the Iron Mouse at the Streamer Awards. Iron Mouse, when I saw the video clip recently where Iron Mouse was recently explaining her troubles at the Streamer Awards, Iron Mouse was going around and saying hi to people, and some random people over there, which I know which by the way happened to be connected to Kaisenat, they asked her some of the most rudest questions about her gender, her race, her voice, and her VTuber avatar. Then they mentioned Peanut into the context. VTubers, as you know, are mainly anonymous. That's not what they did. They didn't respect her anonymity and they joked about it. Iron Mouse even said that she was actually shivering. It was crazy. She was in a not really good spot. She was nervous, and so when people asked really stupid questions, she said she would answer with a stupid answer so that she doesn't, lose face. Unfortunately, as you know, she also dropped a comment mentioning how she called her fans' reactions to her criticism cringe, right? She said something that said, oh, you guys are saying this, doing this, and dissing this guy is kind of cringe. When she did that, she did apologize for it later. I was like, okay, thank you, Mouse. There's a time to be mad. So, we're going to get into the Streamer Awards because I think I kind of basically describe what a VTuber avatar is. It's rigged, it's modeled, VTuber avatar is rigged and modeled, it's animated, it's colored. It doesn't have to be colored. I know VTuber avatars have different styles and aesthetics, blah, 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 yada, yada. It has animations, it doesn't have the animations, but it has to have normal animation, right? From their torso and up. There are VTubers who use avatars who don't have legs, right? Because they can't do full body avatars. Well, certain ones can't do full body avatars, some can't. But they don't go around in a still PNG image doing absolutely no motion. When I saw people talking about Jelly Bean and trying to bring up Jelly Bean is a PNG tuber. They are not a VTuber. Their avatar is not moving and fully animated. So that's not a VTuber, that's a PNG tuber. Iron Mouse is a VTuber. It motions, functions, it makes content. The content is edited by people. She's a real person. It's anonymous. She keeps her face. She goes by her name, Iron Mouse. She does never reveal her legal name. And the avatar has special features. And it's a personality that she is consistently represented. What I think was lazy on my part was not first tackling how lazy VTubers have described themselves as VTubers. VTubers, you have to take this more seriously. VTubers as a concept to people who are foreign to this entire thing are not from Japan and do not understand where this is coming from. This is why most people keep assuming you're all men. Most people, from their experience, are used to guys wearing really huge-breasted characters and female characters and usually going around just playing as a female character with a big bust and big butt or something like that. Stellar Blade's a good example where Steve was a huge character in the scene for a while, and she had really great features. They were gracious features, absolutely stunning features. And what happened? Guys started playing as Eve rather than a guy character. They were like, you know what? Let me play as Eve. They obviously would have went with Eve. Eve was the choice. Eve was the main choice. People were like, you know what? Who cares? There's even the Marvel Rivals. Marvel Rivals, there are characters where there's like, oh, there's a female character. What happens? There's a guy or a girl play. Girls can play girls characters. Boys can play girl characters. Girls can play boy characters too. There's not too much of a difference, so we should differentiate that. If anybody wants to, if we're gonna get deep into the VTubers thing, we have to first put aside our discrimination and our sexism against certain demographics. VTubers, not only are they based on or sometimes portraying themselves as fictional characters with different identity names. For example, Stella Ricks is a VTuber. She goes by a fictional character, but she goes by Stella Ricks. Sometimes she might say her name is so in there, but she often goes by Stella Ricks and embraces that personality. VTubers normally embrace their personalities, but if they don't embrace their personalities, I think you are absolutely lazy and you are absolutely disrespecting VTuberism as a whole. VTuberism was formed by people who were hardworking and embraced their personalities. Since the beginning, people that embraced those VTubers for sometimes they're honest moments. Those honest moments were kept a special thing, right? Whenever they had to stop playing their character and go, okay, settle down. That's not what I need right now. That's not what I mean. Let me say it better. When VTubers play character, that's a special thing, right? Because in people in the VTuberism sphere, VTuberism is a huge universal culture of anybody. It could be girls, old people, young people, kids. Proof of that is you could look at photos of kids cheering on for Gargura before she graduated. Those were kids wearing her outfits. Look at stores. And you have outfits of Shark Girl outfits. Those were Gargura outfits. And they're selling it in Walmart. So, no, not a bunch of old men. Girls, no girls are in the community. I can debunk it. Just go to any VTuber convention and you'll find just enough guys and girls are visiting these VTubers and they are greeting them. VTubers, they have meet and greets because that's the only way for them to communicate with people in person. This peanut guy is the epitome of just like absolute disdain and pure ignorance of this entire concept. So, streamer awards or streamer VTuber stats, VTuber awards, you know, that one post, that one, you know, account on Twitter that's going around putting the data saying, here's how much stats does VTuber earn, right? Like who's getting stats, how much stats did they, how many watch hours did they get this month, stuff like that, right? So they recently put Peanut VTuber into that stat, and Peanut was getting huger numbers than Iron Mouse over and over. They had stats, 2 accounts by the way, 2 of their stats were dominating place number 1 and number 2. I'm like, okay, cool. What I realized is that was also catalyst for this, was the fan bases going over to Peanut for his opinion, watching a Peanut for what he's like, watching him for what he could possibly be. And they all came out of shock, going, "Who is this Peanut guy? What's he all about?" They went over to his channel and found an entire toxic fan base. That toxic fan base went over to Iron Mouse fan base, going off as "We're not from Peanut," and then harassing her. Harassing every VTuber in the sphere. They didn't know what a VTuber was. They didn't know basic VTuber rules. They didn't know basic VTuber respect. They didn't know anything. They didn't get the respect. They didn't... What I also thought was really weird was that an exception. We're going to talk about the exception. The exception was these players that people kept putting excuses for were the ones that were harassing Iron Mouse, harassing every VTuber in like the living, felling space around at Twitter. Twitter is like an entire fell hole of just complete harassment, rage, and rage bait inducing views. The economy is run by rage, and the economy is run by sadism. Completely. We can be obviously way past this point. We know, everybody knows that place is a complete slitcher of a money-friendly place. It's a disappointment of a website and has been bought by Elon, yours truly. So VTubers were just like, I'm just like completely sick and tired and over of just the same people repeating the same stereotypical assumption about VTubers. So, VTuber racism exists. Who knew? VTubers are their own entire demographic of people. They deserve to be respected as the respectable demographic just like anybody else. These VTubers are real humans behind the screens. They have real feelings, real families, real troubles, real mistakes, real solutions to everything that you think of today. I find an issue that most of these people that go around spewing this hatred and discriminating these VTubers and sending them rude names, cold things, and assuming where they are, assuming their names and genders and names and sexism, all this other racism and misogyny, rage and discrimination and racism and Nazism being passed around as if there were another agenda for people to stick on. Peanut did not do the best thing recently when I heard his response around the entire harassment on Iron Mouse. He did not tenfold it and break it down and double down saying, hey, that's wrong to do. He didn't do that as a responsible creator. Peanut, calling himself not even a VTuber, which I told you VTubers are a very serious thing. They have an entire role to play, and if they want to break out of the role, it is something respectable to do. When people see that VTuber break the rule and say, okay, let's just be real, chill down, let me explain. When VTubers do that, crazy special things, green meet and greets, anonymity. Anonymity and privacy is quite hard in these days. Age verification is up on the rise. You think people are gonna be nice when somebody says that VTubers are just old men that deserve to show that need to show their faces, that they're just a bunch of guys on the internet preying on men trying to get their donations? You're absolute retards. Think about it again. Same thing that Peanut in his response said, oh, that it's her own fan base, the own entire VTuber community sending her that hate. And blaming the entire VTuber community. The VTuber community is quite huge. It's filled with some of the most genius people I've ever seen. They've made so many evolutions, so many awards, so many things happen because of the VTuber movement. You must be thankful, and you should be thankful. And I've been checking into this guy's history. Those avatars he's using and all this other stuff he's using, yeah, there's a history behind his avatar and a history behind his voice. He often goes to podcasts, dripping a bunch of spew hatred, and a bunch of bullshit nonsense constantly on those podcasts when he talks to people. He wants yes people around him. He was a moron when he responded to the harassment against Iron Mouse. He was a moron when he took the award. His ego inflated. His ego inflated when the VTubers came around saying, oh, congratulations, and applauded this guy. Even furthering down his ego and continuously proving this guy down even further and making his friends go, wow, congratulations, look at all of this 40-year-old men clapping for you. He joked about it. He said he would criticize VTubers. He didn't fix any of his statements. He didn't change any statements. The statements weren't even statements. He just left a bunch of jabs into more of the VTuber community that's already in a bundle of a bunch of problems and issues down. We've already dealt with a bunch of fraud strat. This fraud isn't even in the VTuber community, and he puts the blame on the VTuber community that he doesn't even recognize. I'm sorry. If somebody's wants to correct me on that and think that I'm still thinking something wrong, you're absolutely out of your mind. This bro continuously spewed hatred and let this toxicity burn even more when he could have broken it down. And he could have put it down and calmed everything down and told people to stop doing it. No, there has to be more on blaming on the entire VTuber community and her own community. She said, Mouse, quote, that I'd rather stay here on my streams because I want to talk to you guys. I want to talk to my community instead of those people trying to, because she knows that often at times she says she feels like she's just trying to appeal to people, and she's like, no, it's a little more complicated than that. I was kind of actually scared. I was shaking. I didn't know what to say. And like I said, stupid questions, she answers stupid answers. So we already way past that. VTubers have been around since 2016. They've been inventing all sorts of crazy things. I'm gonna tell you what VTubers invented. VTubers have been crazy calligraphy whizzes, right? VTubers and their parents and their friends and people who know music and art in the scene are incredible. The amount of celebrity collaborations that VTubers were able to attain within their short existence of less than 10 years on this world. Less than 10 years. Yes, VTubers have been around for less than 10 years. Companies have went in and worked with VTubers. Huge companies like Honda and Corona working together. Corona worked with Sega, right? We have other VTubers. We have other collaborations like Harley Quinn and DC working with Mori Calliope. Gachakuta worked with Mori Calliope. Vox worked with Mori Calliope. Susei went to Budokan. You know how many different VTubers have made successes and evolutions in the community? Same for Amelie Watson when she revolutionized how VTubers should move around with trends. Their graduation was something Kiryu Coco made on the spot. That wasn't always a thing. It was a concept, but it wasn't always a thing. Though Japanese culture has been around, you first want to know how things work, because VTubers have been doing things like criticize China. We've had this thing with China, Taiwan, and Hololive. That's the story of it of its own. The VTubers have been going through every single barrier of racism and discrimination flawlessly for the past almost 10 years. For almost 10 years, VTubers have been challenging norms. They've been challenging race and gender. They've been challenging culture. And have been working with companies you thought were afraid to work with something as crazy as a VTuber. A VTuber in concept. Japanese, English, Mexican, Australian, Russian, German, it doesn't matter. All sorts of companies, all sorts of records were broken by VTubers. Do you know who broke the most sub record? That was a VTuber. A VTuber. A Puerto Rican VTuber at that. Do you not know how rare that is? For Puerto Rico to win something? In a national standpoint? Puerto Rico winning something like a streamer award? That's like social media. As a whole. You'll always expect an American to get there, a Russian, a Chinese or Japanese streamer, maybe somebody from Britain getting those numbers. A VTuber got those numbers. Those were VTubers on Twitch and YouTube. They were the record holders. Do you know what the most super chatted people were currently in world records on YouTube? Most super chatted people ever? Besides huge events and streams of hundreds of millions of dollars into them, you know, those streams with like the over 1 billion people watching them, maybe 900,000 or whatever you want to call. Yeah, those, they were put in. When we put individual people winning those records, they were all VTubers. VTubers took those positions gracefully. Did you see the Dodger Stadium work with Gargura and a bunch of VTubers? They did that 2 times. 2 times. A sport. In the United States. No, not Japan. Japan is fixated on the baseball, I know that. But in the United States, Dodger Stadium working with VTubers? You would have never thought that would ever happen. If you asked me if I thought that would ever happen, I would go, you would be crazy. The same VTuber, Kizai, and some of the very first to make the first run concert based on a VTuber. The first VTuber concert was done by Kizai. Officially. He was the first one to do it. The first one to release songs and an album, I think so. I think of probably, yeah, songs and EPs. With her team, by herself. Do you know where Hololive came from? Hololive was saved in a nickel by Kids in the Eyes team. Kids in the Eyes team were inspiring and inspiration to Hololive as a whole. Hololive was built by a bunch of closet dwellers retired famous people, perhaps say medium level famous people, not famous, but like medium level, had a community before they started as a different thing, type of thing. Vtubers were made by a bunch of people who had no futures, had their future already in, or people were wanting to start another future, another career. I'm not gonna put names. I'm not gonna expose any of VTubers right now. I want to refrain from doing that. Right? I know that some people have obvious connections to past lives, and I know, which is another thing about VTubers. Because they don't have to show their face, they can easily disappear from the internet when they want, and just say, you know what? I think my job is done. I love you all. We're done here. I think I did my best, and I think I've done what I could. And when those VTubers do that, they don't have their face isn't revealed, their family isn't revealed, their names are kept secret. Their face is secret. They can just go off the internet and not feel like somebody is staring and watching them, looking for them out in the public. Which is a huge difference in how famous people deal with the people watching them. Is that famous people, you know what they look like. So when somebody walks around looking for a famous person, yeah, duh. Somebody's gonna try looking for that famous person because they know what they look like. They know what their parents look like, they know what their sons look like, and so that's why famous people have to constantly hide their children, hide themselves, hide their faces, move in different places. Irmas could say, like Gargura, you go, oh, I think I'm done and finished, I'm a little tired, maybe I want to do something else. She could do that. And what happens? Nobody's following her outside, nobody's following her out in the public, nobody's following her anywhere. They recognize her for the voice. Well, the voice was not real or real. It's real, by the way. The Gargoyle's voice is real. And what are you going to use to work with to find Gargoyle out in the public, in the free world? No, nobody's going to find her because her privacy was kept 100%. So that's something you can do. When I get asked, when somebody says, what if somebody forcefully and consistently asks you to reveal your face as a VTuber? All you have to do is say no. You are not responsible for having to show your face online. I show my face because I don't have fear of showing my face. I can be a VTuber still. Because I can carry my identity as a VTuber quite consistently and not diss it. This is why because it reminds me of this drama which I seen recently. Controversy, drama, whatever you want to call it. But this artist was mad at Ririka the VTuber. Ririka's artist. Ririka's a VTuber from Hololive, Japanese one. She said she did something with her avatar that got on the nerves of their artist. You are an artist and you were commissioned by somebody to draw that avatar. The person who gets the end result can do whatever with your avatar. If you're not happy, you can move on. That's your job as a commission artist. You are a commission artist. You signed up for it. You signed that contract. You signed up for that avatar model. They will do whatever with that model, and you cannot stop them. And they put that, just to get a thing about artists is that artists do not necessarily mean that they are trained with technology, which is what we gotta get into. VTuber parents are the very people who are behind these avatars. Besides the person using the avatar, this avatar doesn't come from just nowhere. What I'm getting is that people continuously would think that these avatars that these VTubers use are just like preloaded or assets in like these software programs that they use. You're absolutely stupid, wrong, and dumbfounded and gullible. These avatars were drawn by VTuber parents. VTuber parents are people who rig, model, animate these models that the people use. They're drawn from scratch, drawn part by part, and it's put into different parts whenever you have to connect them together like a mesh. So think of a 3D model and you put pieces together. But check that, but in 2D, 2 dimensions. And you have to do that for every art piece. There are a million different layers. And all these layers are labeled, color-coded, and are in the respectful places around layers, right? These layers form body parts, right? Body parts. Excuse me, I said bots, it's body parts. They make body parts like limbs, legs, eyes, forelash, backlash, head, hair, long tail, bang, second hair bang, eyelash, next eyelash layer, mouth, nose. You can go on and describe every singular part of the body you can think of and just make up names for every body part. But because you are in 2D, you're dealing with 2 dimensions. Same for 3 avatars. 3 avatars in VTuberism are also VTuber avatars. They count as VTubers. Fillion, if people say, oh, is she a VTuber? Yes, even though she's using a VR chat avatar that's not originally hers, which by the way, repeat, Fillion's avatar is not her own. It is not her own idea. Let's not confuse if she owns that and if she is a VTuber. She does not own that model, but she is still considered a VTuber. She's using an avatar. She's consistent with her avatar and personality. She's consistent with the name, and she doesn't have to reveal her legal name. She can just still disappear, by the way. She can still disappear, and nobody would go looking for it because they don't even know what she looks like. That's the power of being anonymous as a VTuber. Our mouse, by the way, just to make sure that my game doesn't, so my game doesn't just randomly break. I'm just gonna do this. Our mouse has been a thing for a long period of time. She's beat Cadet in his game over and over and over. Hold on. Let's say you don't care about their streamer records. You don't care about their records. What did they do, VTubers as a whole, for philosophy? What did VTubers do to society? What did VTubers help in society? So you're going to ask me that. Alright. I can list them. How many things did VTubers do for charity and philosophy? Let's use one example. When Iron Mouse was taken out of VSojo, she did a fundraiser for the IDF, the Immune Deficiency Foundation. The Immune Deficiency Foundation is not a streaming company. It is not her streamer record. This is actual charity and actual philosophy. Iron Mouse, even though she was kicked out of VSojo for most dumbest, most dubious reasons, we know why. The IDF was owed over $500,000, right, in donations. They were supposed to be earning that $500,000 that she got from the donations that she did from the streamathon, subathon, whatever you call it. They were never paid that, right? She got paid, but she wanted some of that paid to go over to the IDF. The IDF was denied that, and VSojo failed to deliver. So what she did was start a charity for the IDF for people who have immune deficiency and other types of sickness related to or similar to the immune deficiency disease that Iron Mouse certainly suffers, which is CVID and all these other things. Having variable immune deficiency. She has CVID. Rather than going, oh no, that VSojo is so bad, I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna expose him, here's my experience, and continuing streaming, she stopped. She didn't, giving money. She said, no, give money to the IDF, the money that they were owed, that VSojo did not pay them, because that was the company she worked with. The VSojo, if you want to know, is a VTuber agency. They didn't pay the IDF, which is a charity, which is actually despicable to do, which is not paying what you owe to a charity, which is already pretty crazy by itself. Say, what if Mr. Beast promised from his company to pay this charity and he doesn't do it because they said, oops, we forgot, we'll not do it because we can, and we're not owing you anything, even though they signed a contract specifically saying that you'd respect the decisions of Mr. Beast to pay them, right? So Mr. Beast was like, no, you have to pay them, why did you not do it? Which would get him into trouble, right? So the difference is that Iron Mouse had no control when VSojo was disbanded from all the VTubers leaving VSojo, VSojo literally was disbanded and completely went bankrupt. When the charity function was going up, right? When she was starting that charity, it didn't just get $500,000 worth in donations, or $100,000 in donations, or $1 million in donations. She raised so many from these people, and I can quote this, millions of dollars for the IDF in that short period of time when it was open for donation. She beat all of her previous records from that very event. Iron Mouse and C-Dog VA, or C-Dog, or Connor, how you people call him, they used to do multiple subathons and cyclothons trying to raise charity funds for the IDF, for people like her and others like her. But this one was her greatest charity event ever. Kai Cenat only after, by the way, let me make sure you understand this. Only after Iron Mouse was some of the very first streamers who did things like these, did Kai Cenat during his Matiathon start actually donating his funds from his Matiathon over to actual charities. Only after she did that did Kai Cenat follow in suit. Just remember that. Iron Mouse was the queen of Twitch until Kai Cenat took that role, right? Kai Cenat logo suddenly, took back that record. Only until she did that did Kai Cenat, okay, let me do it again, right? He has to donate again, right? He's doing that out of force. Iron Mouse did this out of her own will. There was nobody forcing her. She said she could have just completely ignored it, put drama, and continued to milk for views. No. She was like charity, no stream, no response, help the IDF, give them what they need. I will not ask for this. Go somewhere else. Go to this charity first. And when she came out, she was like, thank you. And she continued what she was doing. She's collaborated with artists, right? Artists, not just any artists. Artists that respect the LGBTQ community. Artists that respect people of different colors of skin. People that respect other people of different countries and languages. The people she works with often follow her same values. Is no discrimination, no racism, no race bait, no toxic positivity or toxic masculinity. She's not just, oh, I'm a feminist all the time. She has an actual brain. What did Peanut and Kai Cenat do? Nothing like that. Only until she did it first did they follow in her tracks. People who are around longer than Iron Mouse on Twitch or YouTube already knew basic morals. Going, okay, let me not do that. Peanut has been around a while. Toxic, dishonest, scanter, ranting about who's better, talking about money, goes on to podcasts, spreading fake philosophy, indirectly sending his haters that hate him, over to hate Iron Mouse. That's why you weren't able to decipher if they were fans of his. They were haters of him that went from hating him to hating Iron Mouse. No, I won't stop there. Trust me. They started hitting on other VTubers. Her friends, then their friends, then people who even watch VTubers who are not VTubers, who watch VTubers on their base, and then they started harassing them. Death threats, doxing, en masse. I want to get this out of the way. You understand where we're going here with this. So this video is already stupidly long. I can continue with more examples, right? You saw what happened with Taiwan, China, in Hololive. Harassed to oblivion, death threatened, and doxed to felling oblivion. Those were Chinese netizens. Yeah, much more strategic and forced, but they did the same thing to her friends and harassed the felling oblivion to her. These people didn't ask if they were Mexican, didn't ask if she spoke in German, didn't ask if she was colored tan. They just only cared if they were a VTuber. So, this is my proposition for the ones who are going to watch this video, who are still watching. First off, VTubers, if people absolutely do not care what they are, and they keep assuming they're guys, they're faking guys, they're just actual guys behind this, or the girls behind boy avatars are just really weird and gay, they're not even asking for their ethnicity. They're just going around saying, oh, he's a VTuber, so you're often discussing. VTubers, I will assume from here on out, are just a demographic. If it is a demographic, you will respect other demographics as they are. They are human beings with brains and minds, and human beings with emotions. They are mortal beings who are not able to live forever. VTubers are anonymous by choice and do not have to be forcibly open their face and show their face, because they can choose to. Because when they retire from the scene, like graduate or terminated for some reason, or an indie who is like, you know what, I'm fed up. When they disappear, they have the choice to disappear, and nobody knows what they look like. Nobody's gonna stalk them or follow them and say, oh look, she looks like Miranda or something, right? And they follow them because they look like her, and it actually turns out to be her. So they don't have to reveal their stupid face. So for those who were confusing Annoying Orange for the last time to being, oh, that Annoying Orange is a VTuber, goodness gracious, get your facts straight. For those who are confusing Donald Duck the VTuber to be a VTuber, Donald Duck is a full character that must consistently be played as the character followed as a character, and when Donald Duck needs to break personality and say, okay, enough with the character, I'm gonna be real with you, Donald Duck's not doing that. They're not making their own content. They're underneath all sorts of IP and control from Warner Bros. And music and all of these other IPs. By the way, Paramount bought all of DC, so you all know Paramount's been buying left and right. Iron Mouse is their own entity, does not have to respond to you, and I don't want to hear people going around saying, well, Peanut's this and that, he's won the VTuber awards, you're just jealous. Iron Mouse is the very trendsetter and the very person who made VTubers a household concept. If I'm talking about this now and you know what a VTuber is, then that means they are now a household concept. They went from being indie, obscure, completely alien, to like being mainstream, maybe a niche community. And now they're household concepts with general hyperline construct surface level knowledge. When somebody's 5 years old, they'll go use their phone. First thing they know is either they watch a kid's video or a VTuber playing video games like Roblox and playing it to a kid audience, a VTuber. Here's proof. Search up Cookie Swirl C. Cookie Swirl C is a VTuber and she makes kids content. Guess what her audience is? Kids. So by the time they reach 5 to 6, 7 years old, they know what a VTuber is. They won't even question it. I go around teenagers, they know what a VTuber is. When I talk about VTubers, people around me would go, what the hell is that? I'm saying the word now. Now that word's inside their head. Sorry, that word's not leaving your head. As much as you want to ignore it, VTubers are going to continue to get into your face because I'm going to get into what VTubers have been achieving, where it is happening, and why I think that VTubers are going to enter the United States faster than what you can think. Because if Susei can reach Budokan in less than 10 years, if she can reach that in less than 6 years, which by the way, yes, that's half a decade, VTubers achieved in a very short period of time milestones unheard of, records unheard of. And when people look to those records and those achievements, they didn't think because she was Russian, because he is an American, because he is a Mexican. They only thought, oh, it's a VTuber. This is where I'm getting it at. These are human beings you're talking about. VTubers have achieved much more than what most content creators have been achieving these past 5 years. Yes, quite a lot. You don't think so? Be my guest. I can list you a few examples for you for what they have achieved. VTubers were so incredibly controversial in China that China had to make new rules related to VTubers. Number 2. VTubers have invaded Dodger Stadium and have literally built their own. They're building an HQ right now in the United States. Hala is building their own HQ. And VTubers, by the way, here's a number 3. Number 3 hugest achievement for VTubers within 5 years. VTubers have expanded so far. They are so incredibly diverse that you can find a VTuber for almost every country in the world. Yes, there are VTubers now, by the way, who are bilingual or a polyglot. There is more chance you'll find a polyglot VTuber than a polyglot in the normal streamer community with their face. We call them IRL streamers, you know, flesh tubers. The real people who show their face, their voice. It's most likely you'll find a polyglot in a VTuber community than an actual flesh tuber community. Yeah, crazy. That's insane. VTubers have also broken YouTube records for being the most super chatted ever individual human beings in the world. Most super chatted ever in history. In the 20 years of YouTube history, VTubers have broke every single world record for super chats and YouTube within less than 5 years. VTubers have broken numerous Twitch records, breaking sub records, train records, hype records, right? Hype train records, and sub records. Even streaming records for like how long they stream. VTubers are the most consistent in being streaming for the longest time compared to IRL streamers, besides ones that are doing ridiculously crazy things, challenges that require them to do crazy things. VTubers have revolutionized industries by inventing new ways of utilizing 2.5D technology, 2D technology, and 3D technology, and making it normalized to continue to higher the performance of the accuracy of these machines, from VR to motion sensing, detection, heat radiation detection, and all these other features that are being achieved Not only just from VR manufacturers and engineers, yes, even Hololive has been involved in the technology that they're doing, which is advancing, by the way, as I'm speaking, involving technologies that people thought were going to be useless and never used for something, now are being used for something. In less than 5 years, Hololive already built a proper HQ in Japan, by the way, which is humongous, that has at least one of the most diverse visitors ever. Let me make the rephrase this. Their HQ normally hires people who speak a certain language where they add them to a branch. When VTubers come around from different countries and visit the Hololive, or want to set up for Hololive, they're usually not born from the same country. Perhaps some are, perhaps some aren't. And when they describe themselves and say, "Oh, I'm German, but I actually live in here. Oh, my parents would speak this, but I actually happen to speak this." VTubers are some of the most diverse, most heavily alleviating community to go to when you feel as if you're being discriminated constantly by all the slitcher that this Republican MAGA propaganda machine is going on right now, which is putting around all sorts of slews of hatred against immigrants and Mexicans and Russians and Chinese people and Koreans and all sorts of different audiences like gay, lesbian, LGBTQ. Maybe you're a communist. Oh, you gotta be discriminated against. Oh, you're an imperialist? You're gonna be discriminated against. You're feeling Mexican, African American? Oh, oops. We don't care. There's racism. So these communities, unhelpful. You wanna get an example? Aiden Ross. He loved gambling. He loved gambling. He's an inspirational figure to some of the most worst ass people in the world. Everything I've seen VTubers do was out of kindness. Diversity. Diversity they didn't force. VTubers, what is this really special thing about when they stay anonymous, is only until do they review what country they come from, do they go, "Oh, you're just so nice. I didn't know you were from Canada. But you're just a really nice person. You come from Canada. I didn't know that. I'm from like Slovakia, whatever, Slovakia, Russia, China. Nobody knows these until somebody says, "Oh, by the way, I'm from China." Me? I could literally do the same thing right now. Trust me, I have a community of people who don't come from the same countries. We never knew that. I have to ask first. I have to go, "Wait, where are you from?" "Oh, I'm from Indonesia." These people were completely innocent people. They were just nice people. They were just using Discord to talk to me. These VTubers, they have fans that follow them. They don't know where their fans come from. They have to look at the statistics in order to find these out. By the way, my game's rejoined. It's reset. Let me go through this. Wait a second. Actually, can I click it? No, we're gonna do this again. Give me a second. I'm gonna hate all the cuts in this video. Truly, whenever I'm like getting really well in there, it's then like the game is like restart, rejoin. I get it, because then if I don't move my character, Roblox just kicks me out of the game. So I get that. So what I was trying to say, nobody in a VTuber community is discriminant of other races and colors and philosophies most of the time. Duh. Anywhere in the community, there's always going to be a bad nut and a bad egg who's just out there to ruin everybody's day. I know. But in the VTuber community, if you want to compare which one is absolutely most diverse, I think it's the VTuber community. Who is the most challenged? I would say is the VTuber community. Who was most discriminated is the VTuber community. They are the most understood, most misunderstood, but also most understood to a sociological level. VTubers have been this huge thing in my life that constantly tell me why I'm wrong. The very existence of them proves many things that I thought was, truth was, to be wrong. VTubers, let me tell you, here's what I'm telling you. What I mean is that things that VTubers did that proved me wrong. I thought you were never able to make a universal culture. I thought it would be impossible to make a universal culture where people from different countries and languages and in idioms or philosophies and cultures came together. I thought that was never possible, that a universal country of sorts. But VTubers made a universal culture where any of that's like so easy and it's so possible that whenever I go and I talk to someone from the VTuber community, they're not from any country I know, but they speak English, which is so insane to me. Debunked. Dumb for me assuming that I never thought I would have seen a cultural community. I was the one who thought I would do it myself. VTubers did it way before I did. Give them the props. They made a universal culture. This is a culture where anybody can enter. This culture, anybody can enter and do whatever. If there's a bad egg, the VTuber community is some of the most mature. Besides all of the bad eggs we know, it's some of the most mature I've seen, who are able to take criticisms in certain ways. They take events, accidents, and mistakes so differently compared to the communities I've ever been in. The gaming community has literally blended in with the VTuber community. The music and art community, two different ones, also blended in with the VTuber community. VTubers are like the epitome of the use of the creative medium to its maximum. VTubers challenge games, music, art, books, basically literature, gaming, and creative aspects of human life. They challenge that. They're the moving, these organisms as VTubers, that the avatars they go behind, are the efforts of an artist, a rigger and modeler, working together, or them doing it by themselves for a moving avatar. They challenge art and music. Why? Because then they promote music, promoting it with the face of a fictional avatar. I thought there's no way somebody would one day promote their music and be using a fictional avatar under a fake name one day and have their music be successful. Somebody promoting themselves and having their music actually succeed based on their fake avatar and fake name. I thought that would never have ever happened possible. I thought that would have been possible. I know the Gorillas are an example of it, but let me educate you on how this works. The Gorillas had fictional avatars and characters that they went off of. But the very people behind those avatars are real people, and they've already shown their faces and their names. So, no. That's a different entire story of its own. They're a lot more active in the community now because of all the things that they're doing with their new album. But VTubers have challenged music, even the way music's promoted. They've challenged how streaming is done because VTubers now have schedules, graduations, and all these things. They do it so formally. They do it so properly. They do it with absolute, what is it called again? Vindication and execution that I thought I never would have thought I'd seen much more of. Streamers, when I see they stream, they don't always talk about their schedules. That took a few years for people to start going, okay, let me stream, here's my schedule. VTubers was some of the very first that utilized their art, their music, their talent, and their singing, and also their knowledge to schedule everything that they would be doing. When they were some of the very first people who were more formally using this thing called a break, when they're like, okay, I can't stream today, or I can't stream there because I need to take a break, I'm sick, I can't go. And people would go, oh, okay, sure. Before you try to go and say that Japan had a little bit of an ending of this, people that went and became VTubers, like I said, these people are incredibly diverse. All of these people, the same people who are starting VTuber careers or starting their VTuber journey, will look at, literally, they would look at prior VTubers in history and copy them. They wouldn't know if it's Japanese culture. They wouldn't know if it's something Japanese, what they're doing. They would just go, oh, these VTubers did and it's successful and it's working, so I'm just going to copy them because that's what every VTuber does, right? Those people weren't even Japanese. These are non-Japanese people following a schedule routine, the graduation routine, the termination execution. They're following normal streaming code of conduct. They have fan base names. They're going off of the character. They're promoting their products with their character and their name, their character name. Those are things you would think that it's only in Japanese that non-Japanese people started to do because the Japanese did it first. Those were things that were not just, that were just, oh, because an otaku did it. These are people who are non-Japanese copying Japanese methods of content creation. It's not the same, because then we also have to get into the Clipper culture. And Clipper culture is absolutely great for the media economy. which YouTube's obviously not respecting at the moment. YouTube's not respecting the Clipper economy and have basically thrown them into the trash bin long ago. But right now, everything's balancing out and things are playing fine. Before I even explain how I could literally go on forever about these. I have an entire playlist based off of Vtuber music. Vtuber music is in various genre ranges. Vocaloid music and Vtuber music and vocal music, they're their own genres now. Vtuber music, you have to go, alright, this is heavy metal, but it's made by a Vtuber or a Vtuber sung in it, right? The Vtuber hired somebody and they sung in it, but it's literally their name, right? They put the name of their character and saying, oh, this is a Gargura song, even though she didn't produce the song, she sung in it, but it's underneath her name. It's a thing so that they are able to promote their music, right? With their name and their likeness. The likeness and their name, basically. I mispronounced that. So, Vtubers and Vocalites now have also combined together. I don't know what a Vtuber is. I don't know what's a Vtuber. And she said she wished she could be one, but she'd rather, keep her thing until maybe one day she might want to be a Vtuber. Vtubers have worked with all sorts of huge names in franchises by now. Like Honda and DC and Paramount, Warner Bros. And Dodgers, and I guess you can say Toyota. Toyota also had something with I think it's Toyota Corona, Honda Corona. DJs collaborated with VTubers. NASA, literally NASA Japan. We had NASA dance to a song made by a VTuber. We have certain celebrities talking that they like anime. And when we mention VTuber, they know what a VTuber is. Like, VTubers have gotten this deep and engraved their culture so deep into the people that now it's just a word that goes around, passes going, oh, virtual avatar, cute anime girl, cute voice, might be guy, but great person, great manners, great organization. Periodically, over time, VTubers have been one of the hugest things I've ever seen known to kind, as like probably some of the most largest, most focused, most intelligent creative movements I've ever seen in my entire life. Let me explain. VTubers, as a whole, is a creative movement if you think about it in a different way. Thinking in the other way. Not only is there that type of philosophy for a creative vision, right? A creative future. This creative future is shared between different VTubers who think they could make it doing the thing that they do. It's a creative movement as a whole. So, literally, when you look at a VTuber avatar, somebody put thousands or hundreds of hours into that avatar to make it happen. They were paid thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands in order for that to happen, right? When VTubers started doing things for the economy, let's say their impact on society, right? They've revolutionized tech and all these things that people never thought would have been used, right? We have to talk about the economy. VTubers are so expansive and so great at making their own system work. We cannot only forget Clippers, we can't forget how their parents, the VTuber parents, break their stuff. That's an economy. VGen was literally formed by an initiative based on giving a place for artists who are, wanting to upper the level of art to draw, make avatars for VTubers. They gave people jobs. You heard about people saying that when you start to make jobs, you're starting to do an effect on society, right? You did something amazing, something good is happening. When VTubers started getting approached by agencies or social media management agencies were starting to go, wait, what's a VTuber? They started immediately going in on hand and started hiring VTubers. They're like, we need VTubers because it's good for the economy. When VTubers started looking for artists and musicians, what were some of the very first musicians and artists that they reached? They reached out to their friends or artists that they liked online and say, hey, can you draw this for me? I want my thumbnail to be done. Can you do it? I'll pay you this much. VTubers But by the way, before they were this huge concept, when they started growing, they relied on small artists, very not famous music artists and producers, or normal literature artists and calligraphics and visual artists and visual directors. They relied on people who are as rich as them. Low income or middle income families. Or somebody who lives by themselves who's like 20 years old or 16 years old. They relied on people like that. And when the economy started getting huger because people were like, wait, I don't have a job. What if I find a VTuber and I draw something for them? The VTuber would continue to come back and say, hey, can you draw one more art? And that cycle continued. We have artists flocking left and right over to all these places saying, hey, can you hire me? Can you hire me? I will do this. Pay me this. I will do anything. If you want to do it again, pay me this. We'll be in talks. Musicians started reaching out to VTubers. Mixers and sound engineers started reaching out to VTubers. Writers, animators, and storyboarders started reaching out to VTubers. Yeah, normal people. And when these niche people, well, let's say they're niche first. When these niche people started saying, hey, Normie, did you know that I work for this VTuber drawing her storyboards for her animations? They would go, where? I need that. What's a VTuber? And they would go, well, this VTuber basically a virtual avatar to make content online, role-playing as their character. And sometimes they make music and art. And they often go by this anime character, you know, go online and they have this name and stuff. And they're like, oh, sure, but does she commission? I need her to do storyboards. I need a commission real bad. And they go, yeah, she's open for commissions. Tell her. I could probably shout you out. I'm gonna tell them that, hey, my friend here wants to help out. Let's see maybe if you can give him a role. So that, I'm starting to hear those stories. For example, there's certain artists that you think, oh, we're never that huge, or we're always huge, right? Giga is an example. Utso. We have Midnight Grand Orchestra. We have more Calliope's friends that often produce her music, or Shiro Beats, who produces Iron Mountain's music. Those people, say for Aloha is another example. They were not famous. They were just indie producers. And the VTubers hired them. Because they were like, now that I'm sort of successful, I want to use the very extra money I got to hire my favorite artist to make a song for me. VTubers got to meet their favorite music artist for the first time. It doesn't have to be a famous music artist. It was just an artist that they liked and saying, you know what, I loved you, I listened to all your music, Shiro Beats on Spotify or whatever. You seem cool and I think I was a huge fan of yours. Can I commission you for a song? Iron Mouse had to do the same thing. You know what, I think Iron Mouse talked about how she reached out to Shiro Beats, and Shiro Beats was just something that she knew about. She knew of certain artists before they were famous, and she knew of people before she was famous. Lots of these VTubers can tell you the same story where they were approaching certain other content creators and were just like saying, hey, can you make a song for me? I can pay you, I can commission, I got extra money left over, I want to do this project with you. And when it succeeds, guess what? They can pass that money over to themselves and also over to the artists that they hired because they know them so well. They're not famous, so it's not that hard to reach out to them. Now, I'm in this position where people have completely forgotten what makes humanity as a whole. They have completely lost what respect is. We are dissing and hating each other and trying to make another community toxic. We already have the gaming community into all these tangles. We have the gaming community in all these tangles, but we're not going to do the same with the VTuber community. The VTuber community is filled with diverse people who already like each other and never knew that they were from different countries. And now we're trying to split them and divide them. I don't know who got this idea. Somebody's passing this type of narrative around, especially Peanut, who decided to be a moron about it and did nothing to help out. Remember that this fellow was breaking records and people were absolutely saying nothing to him much directly until Iron Mouse said, you know what, I apologize, I should have been a lot more rude, because this fellow actually continued to harass this fellow and continue to harass and send other harassing other people who were going to harass, and then dox every other friend of hers along with her friends of her friends, which then ended up leading to me getting a dox threat, another death threat again from these people that were following these VTubers because, oh, I defend Iron Mouse, so I'm a problem. I'm probably a left wokest person. They always reach that, so you know. In VTubers, let me explain politics. Explain politics to VTubers. VTubers are some of the most apolitical people you can meet online. They barely open about politics. Some of the very largest VTubers don't even open about politics, right? They don't even talk about politics. But when they do, their values as a VTuber are quite democratic. Do you know that? Certain VTubers who are out there will believe in certain democratic values. Those types of VTubers, they are leftists, right? They're literally leftists without even knowing. They don't even if they say that, oh, I'm a Republican, their friend is gay. But what are they saying to their friend? Are they saying, hey, you shouldn't do that? No. So, here we go. Some of these VTubers without knowing, which is another thing I also want to piece together, is that without them knowing, these VTubers, let me explain. Sometimes they have friends that are often something that's not in the rhetoric of the Republican rhetoric, right? They would have friends that are gay, or bi, or non-binary, or just girl, like a girl likes a girl, or their friend or their boyfriend has a boyfriend, right? Stuff like that, crazy stuff. And they would go around saying, oh, I'm apolitical. I don't care about politics. Politics is bad, right? They would say that stuff. And I'm like, well, even when they didn't care about politics, they happen to have lots of democratic values without knowing. Crazy. Crazy stuff, right? I know. So, that's the literally shortest explanation I can get into politics and VTubers. Literally, most VTubers don't even say anything about politics. There are some bad eggs in the VTuber community. I'm not gonna say that there's no political VTuber out there anymore. With how VTubers have gotten so huge, right? As a context, there's a lot more people out there who become VTubers, and once that demographic starts to get larger in size, lots of bad eggs start to enter the community, and now we have our drama, right? Our drama people who cause drama. Yet there's that. So this is my end point of where we are at. We are dividing each other. We are sending hate to each other. We don't even know what a VTuber means. I know. And if you need more information, join my Discord server. Leave a like on this video and get this video anywhere else. I've already reached 5k. I can't even ask for 5k. Like every video that came before, I said I needed 2k or 5k subscriber goal, right? We're way past 5k, so I guess my new goal is like 7 to 10k. I guess. And if I get past that, I guess it's not that anymore, but same story. So here's my number one thing I must ask for some of you people. VTubers are the epitome of challenging normal societal norms. VTubers are the epitome of a creative movement in whole. They are the very concept of a successful universal community where anybody can join. That's what I believe is happening. I hope you understand that. Now, if you disagree and you still believe that what Peanut's doing is absolutely fine, you're a bastard, you're a retard, and you might have ADHD. And if you do, I apologize. Please get help. You're a great person. I wish you knew better. I hope you know better. Have a great day. Share kindness to people. Stop getting mad at me. Be mad at the real person causing the issues. And if you have no ADHD and you're still spewing hatred, then I can't be forgivable for what you're doing. Right? I'm not going to forgive you for doing that. And you've already pushed Iron Mouse to a corner where she was shivering and she was fearful. Not only is that also her friends and her friends of friends are also now all frustrated, annoyed, and just completely disappointed with what's going on. To the point where they can't even say anything PR. If they say anything PR, guess what? People are still mad. They say anything apologetic, then people are still mad. Twitter was never the best place for that. So that's why most of them are responding to it on stream. And sometimes what I think is that most of these VTubers would say something that, let me just make my counterclaims to things I said online. So let me make a counterclaim to some of my things. VTubers are not all perfect. We know that there's some who are careless about their identity and careless about their statements online. We know there's some people who are great, but they aren't great everywhere and start to say things that are really careless about other communities as well. So I'm not completely dumb and naive as to think VTubers are all great people. Some are all great, some are mostly great, and some are only partially great. Asmongold is partially great, but he is majorly and mostly a issue. But he has parts where he is great, but very little parts of them. There are VTubers out there who I know are mostly great, but they have parts that are just not so great. That's an entire topic for another day. So, what this is, stay safe out there. This is probably one of the longer videos I've made. Not the longest, but certainly one of the longer ones. Now, if you enjoyed this and you hated this, leave a dislike. And if you hate this, leave a like. If you hate this, leave a dislike. And I'm going to say that 4 times because I can. Now, if you're like, this, how are you able to do this without me doing, because I'm able to actually continue to think on the spot and make something constantly new. So, as is my speech form. The way I speak is really nuanced. I can go on for 5 hours, trust me, but I'm not doing that today. So, because I gotta eat, I have a mortal life. I'm not immortal. I can still die if I starve. So, stay safe out there. Bear kindness. We inform leaders out there. In the world where facts are considered a form of harassment, please, in the information drought that we're in, fix this. We're together. Discord link in the description. If you need help and you need to get out of this censorship and you need solutions for how to get out of censorship, I'm here for you. Because before your country does something really stupid, work with me. Thank you. Welcome. Australia. Rest in peace, Australia. Free Australia. Australians, you deserve better. Your government failed you. That is my side note. And here's my next side note. Asmongold, you're fucking retarded. Oh my goodness, die in Minecraft. Aiden Ross, you're also fucking retarded. Go die in Minecraft. For legal reasons, for those two, those are jokes, right? I love you both. Live a long life. Have a great Christmas. For those who are going to celebrate Christmas or are doing Hanukkah right now, have a great Hanukkah, great Christmas, great celebration, or white, whatever. I think in Japan they have their day. They have like a white day or something. Have a great celebration, whatever holiday. And if you don't celebrate, then I'm here for you. If you need anybody to talk to, I'm here. I'm not exactly mental aid and I'm not exactly a licensed therapist, but I certainly know some ways around people's depression. And be skeptical of anything you see on the internet, right? Always check yourself. Don't be cynical. Be skeptical. And what you say about me is what you say about society. And I think that's probably some of the most longest outros I've ever done on my channel. I can continue to make this longer because what I think would be is that when you go beyond limit and you excel as a creator, really crazy cool things start to happen, right? I'm in this position of power where I'm able to talk to over 5,000 people now, so I need to take advantage of that while I still can, while I'm still alive on this planet. Genuinely, if you want the short answer and you're skipping to this part of the video, and you're like, can you tell me the short version of this video? Alright, here is the short version of this video. Peanut, bad. Iron Mouse, good, but apologize for saying you cringe. So, VTubers are serious. VTubers are not everything virtual. Look into Defunct Land on what actual virtual puppet is. So, Peanut, even more bad when you know what that is. So, Aiden Ross, Asmongold, and those people, bad. They gamble and they mean and rude. VTuber is good, creative movement is universal culture, and they good because they are so nice and they're respecting and they have organized life. They are a bad egg sometimes, but they are not everywhere and they are not what makes VTuber. There you go. That's the shortest explanation of what I could shorten this video entirely into. If you are just a brain rot, stupid, casual person in general, right? You skip to the end. Alright, that's it. Stay safe out there.